All right, kids, are you ready?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm ready.
I can't hear you.
Captain.
Oh, when Captain America throws his mighty shield. All those who chose to oppose his shield must yield. If he's there for a fight, and the blue one is due, then the red and the white and the blue will come through. When Captain America throws his mighty shield.
And then he invades Iraq for oil.
Whoa. What the fuck,
Hey, you got a problem with it?
Let me ask you something.
What do you got against the US of A, bro?
Yeah.
Let me ask you something.
Yeah, it's the USA, bro. Come on.
Red, white, and blue?
Bro?
Bitch.
George Bush is a war criminal.
President Stripes, motherfucker.
Okay.
The people needed to know.
Okay.
What was that?
Well, all right. Well,
Needed to know.
welcome to the Metropolis podcast. I'm your host, Daniel Plainview, and with us today are several new guests and familiar faces.
I thought this was Danny Sexbang. You lied to me. Give me my $20 back.
Look, man, that was a private session, and you got what you earned. You got what you paid for, all
Lie.
right?
You sit on that.
You got what you fucking paid. All right. As I was saying, we have some new faces as well as some familiar ones. Starting off from Austin.
Of course, you're not going to actually see our faces.
Yeah.
Starting off from Austin.
Hello.
And then
Beautiful.
Chuck Williams, our fellow news correspondent.
Yes.
Chuck?
Oh.
Okay.
Chuck is
He's muted.
Yeah.
Chuck. Yeah.
And of course, we have our brand new guest, Glenn.
Hey.
And,
From The Walking Dead?
And of course, there's Grayson.
Yes, hello. Hello, how are you doing?
And our composer, Manny, also known as Fox Cop.
Hello.
Whoa.
How did you
How did you
earn the
get
title
me?
of Fox
Yeah.
Cop?
What's the
Thanks
story
for
behind
stealing
that?
my question.
Story behind it?
Wait,
Yeah.
It's
Chuck
very
had
lame.
something to say.
You
Charles?
stole my question.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize,
Don't steal
Mr.
his
Charles
question.
Williams.
Oh, fuck.
Right.
There's lightning outside my window. You want to... yeah, Manny, how did you get the name of Fox Cop?
It's a very lame story.
Fascinating.
Well, what's the story?
I
What's
just
the story,
combined
Morning Glory?
Fox with Cop, and that's how I got the name. Whatever.
That's a pretty
But what's up
exciting
with the
story.
double X?
It sounds cool.
It looks cool.
Yeah.
Alright, cool.
Aesthetic thing. It's like Hideo
So,
Kojima.
See, if
that
there's
Avengers
one
movie was
Especially
pretty
with a
epic.
font that I made.
It's like Hideo Kojima and how he combines shit together, like Sniper Wolf, or like, I don't know, a Tango Snake or whatever. It's an aesthetic thing. It's cool. It's fucking awesome. I like it.
Exactly.
Pop culture. What's been going on lately, gentlemen? What's been going on with you guys?
Nothing much. Just appreciating all of the current movies that are coming out. Even some video game ones. Particularly, you guys excited for Detective Pikachu?
I am pretty sort of excited. I mean, I haven't been into Pokemon since Diamond, but yeah, it looks like to be one of the first good video game adaptations out there.
I'm glad you said that because it currently has a 70% on Rotten Tomatoes.
That's not bad.
I know Rotten Tomatoes doesn't really matter for films, but in terms of video game franchises, we need a hit with them.
So far, it seems like Detective Pikachu has been the hit we've been looking for.
For a long friggin' time.
I mean,
Years of failure led to this.
Oh yeah, years of Double Dragons and Angelina Jolie Tomb Raiders and fucking...
Dead or alive.
And
Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Yeah, Dwayne The Rock Johnson shitting on the Doom movie on Twitter. And like even the fucking Doom development team was like, Dwayne.
I can just picture that's just Doom guy with a shotgun.
Get the cover. Everyone get the
Oh,
cover.
sorry. Sorry, that was...
Get the cover.
It's the Koreans, they're finally attacking.
Sorry, I got a text and it was about some mission should I choose to accept. I don't know.
That's a weird text to
You know
word.
your phone's gonna explode, right?
Yeah, in 5 seconds.
You better throw that
Wait,
thing
what?
away.
Yeah.
Yeah, it said it will explode by the end of the podcast you were recording.
Well, that's gonna be for a while, so you better put that in a secure area, like a vault.
Yeah, I know. Just letting you know what the closing gag is gonna be.
Probably, I don't know. The only video game movie I think I've seen in a theater is fucking Warcraft, which I saw with Chuck years back. Chuck, you remember that?
Mm-hmm.
That was an experience, wasn't it? And I figured it was going to be good because that was directed by Duncan Jones, who directed probably
of Moon and shit like that.
It's a very good movie, Moon.
Moon and my personal favorite, Source Code.
Oh, Source Code is
great.
fucking awesome.
Source Code's
Source
not a
Code.
video game movie.
Well, no, but he also
No, Moon.
Oh,
We're talking
Duncan
about
Jones.
Yeah, it's a Duncan Jones movie.
directed that. That's like the Quantum Leap movie we never got, and Scott Bakula even cameos in it. So there's that.
Interesting.
Oh, I never put that together.
Yeah,
The Quantum Leap connection.
you just need Dean Stockwell showing up and giving them advice.
What the heck was up with Mute?
Mute. I was so fucking bored with that. That movie was just.
Yeah, what the heck?
All
was
I
that?
remember is guy is mute, Paul Rudd, and one of the characters turns out to be a pedophile, and I
Yeah.
that was just awkward.
Some.
Wait, was that a Duncan Jones movie?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
on
it
Netflix.
was.
Oh, I heard about that. I heard like mixed to negative things, so I never ended up watching it.
Which seems to be a thing with Netflix.
Try hard
movies.
Blade Runner-ish kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
I don't know.
Speaking of video game movies, there has been a lot of hoopla around the recent Sonic trailer.
Yeah.
Oh yes, there has. There very much has.
Very,
Well,
very, very understandable hoopla. That being said, because
I mean, it can't be that bad. Flips up image. Oh, Jesus!
yeah,
Yeah. Just for the sake of the audience, in case they don't know what we're talking about, put up an image of good old Sonic the Hedgehog.
Sonic the Whore,
yeah.
Sonic the Whore from Satch or something. Sonic the Whore from Baghdad.
Sonic the
The Horrible Hobbler.
Yeah.
my thing is, isn't this like James Marsden's like second film where he's has to act off like a fucking CGI character?
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yes.
he does it for his kids and the giant paycheck.
Well,
But
wasn't,
still.
wasn't he in
Yeah.
that princess movie with Amy Adams? Did he act?
Yeah, wait, what princess movie?
Enchanted.
Wait,
Enchanted.
Enchanted?
Yeah. Where he had to act around.
Oh yeah, that was
animals
him.
and shit.
That was
Yeah,
him.
that was him.
That was interesting.
That's actually.
Of course, I will always remember him as ruining one of my favorite comic book characters,
Which one? Oh,
Bob
Cyclops?
from the X-Men. Yeah,
Well, I never found Cyclops to be all that interesting, but I guess that's the fault of the movies. Anyway,
I just think
I love
Cyclops
Cyclops in
More of
it.
a secondary
I
character.
love Cyclops in the comics, but in
Sonic
the
movie.
Sonic movie.
Sonic looks scary.
Sonic looks horrifying.
If I were to see Sonic like crawling toward me in the middle of the night, I would blow a fucking gasket and run for the hills. Like holy shit!
I mean, I give props for.
Yeah,
his
like I
Marvel's
would
over-the-top
probably
Uh-huh.
try to escape, but I would not be able to escape whatever the hell that is.
I honestly have been loving the fucking reaction pics of James Marsden screaming at the sight of
reaction.
Sonic.
Here it is.
It is made for some very good
I mean,
reaction.
say what you will about that Hot movie, but like, Jesus Christ, at least the bunny had a cute design.
Uh-huh.
Like,
Yeah.
Austin, what's your opinion?
I just think that I think the hoopla is actually necessary, but I also believe that it is going to cause some problems if the movie bombs because we're asking animators who are working on this obvious
we
motion
haven't
capture
explained that yet.
character.
Yeah, the redesign.
The hoopla has been
Yeah.
so bad that we're even getting a whole redesign of a
well,
movie.
yeah, the director tweeted that out. Also put that up on the screen, Mr. Editor, sir.
All right. Of an
Tell me what you.
We're treating Daniel like how we're treating the creators of the Sonic movie. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, do that. Do this.
And also make sure that he doesn't have individual eyes. Make sure it's one eye with two weird pupils, like it is in the game.
Well, it's just very
that her
interesting
songs are in blue.
This movie comes out in November 8th. That's not too far away. And
yeah, and they haven't delayed the release date of the movie at all. So, like, I don't think they're going to be able to touch everything up and have it look like...
But doesn't it seem a bit suspicious to you? They're not even delaying the release date. I mean, like, these animators, they're working on, like, borrowed time. Like, how much money are they willing to put into this just to get it right?
What if they just...
I'm guessing they're not going to put much money into it, and the animators are going to get fucked, and it's going to be a whole thing like Sausage Party a few years back, where the animators were underpaid and, like, treated really poorly, and it was just, like, a whole big hoopla about how they, like, worked overtime and weren't paid and such things. And I think that's really unfortunate because I actually do want to see how the movie would be if we had the current design that we have now, because I want to see that fucking thing in motion. Because just like for the meme of it.
What was that, Austin? What was that?
The biggest problem I have is the eyes and the mouth, and I feel like that's the part that they're really going to fix, because the rest of the body is okay. Granted that it's freakish a bit, but like it's Sonic the Hedgehog. I mean, he shouldn't be in this real world thing to begin with. It should just be a cartoon. It's a cartoon movie where they just update the design a little bit, and then it's just a cartoon. That's it. I mean, maybe just have Jim Carrey there where he's the only human.
Yeah, I would have appreciated a sort of like Roger Rabbit type thing where it's like cartoony looking Sonic from the games instead of like it's like Uncanny Valley gross monstrosity
that looks like it could attack you in the middle of the night and like a fit of
monkey
rage.
kid from Jumanji.
Yeah, I used to think Mike Myers' Cat in the Hat looked terrifying. Now I know true horror thanks to this.
I mean, here you have a character whose entire design was made to be appealing to children.
Yeah, like the whole, like Sonic as a franchise has survived on the strength of this design for decades now. Like, there has not been, like, a great classic Sonic game since the fucking, like, Genesis era, debatably. So, taking that design and messing with it is basically like shooting yourself in the genitals. It's not
Glenn, what do you...
counterintuitive.
Glenn, what do you say?
I don't really like. I don't think they're gonna have enough time to do the redesign. I don't even know if they're gonna do the redesign because some people just promise stuff like that and don't fulfill the promises. I'm more excited for Jim Carrey as Robotnik. That's like the only saving grace in the movie right now for me.
Yeah.
Well, to be honest with you, doesn't it just seem like a tad bit suspicious? Like this whole situation.
Kind of.
Like,
Yeah,
I mean,
it does.
like, because
It
this company is putting millions of dollars into this picture, and they're suddenly going to have to redesign the. I mean, I'm thinking back to Henry Cavill and how much money they had to pour in just to get rid of that fucking mustache on his face. And
but what if that was the thing with this movie that they wanted us to say?
They wanted us to get angry. I'm wondering if that's the case because it just seems too suspicious, man.
Your theory definitely holds water, but I don't feel like they would.
I'm guessing
If they release the redesign in a few months and it looks completely different, then your theory will hold true. But if it's just a few changes here and there, then I feel like they genuinely realize that they fucked up.
Because I'm just
We'll just have to wait and see.
I'm just wondering if they were just gonna go off of like reputation by meme, you know? They knew like the collective internet would lose their shits over this design, but you know, there's no such thing as bad reputation. and now we're just eagerly waiting to see what they're going to do. And
I mean, true, but you have to think, like, I know to us it seems like everyone in the world is memeing about this because we're dorks and we live on the fucking internet. But like, it's not like I don't know your mom who fucking watched every single episode of Mad Men and abandoned you for 2 straight weeks while she vegged out on the couch. Sorry, that was a personal
where's
detail.
Where's this coming from? This is sounding pretty personal here. Do you want to talk, man?
Yeah, that was a very personal.
You want to go in DMs and talk for a bit?
Yeah, but it's not like old ladies are memeing about the Sonic the Hedgehog design. It's just nerds aging.
Only what's
okay?
I for one want a Chris Chan cameo. Honestly,
I don't want a Chris Chan cameo because that would be enabling him, her, them, whatever to act like her to act the way she does even more than she already does, and she does not need to do that because she is responsible for the deaths of several cats at this point.
Look, you know what? If we go into Sonic 2, that's a whole different kind of rabbit hole. Let's move away from that right now.
Let's try to steer the conversation back to Sonic.
I am so happy to see Jim Carrey back in a movie because he hasn't really been in a big movie since like Kick-Ass 2, which sucked, by the way. And
which he protested against.
Yeah, it sucked.
I hated it.
And now he's back to his usual goofy self, and I'm wondering, man, are we getting a Jim Carrey revival? Because kidding, that show has been pretty good. I've enjoyed some of the episodes I've seen of it. And
yeah, but he's not Jim Carrey.
Also,
no, he's not Jim Carrey
a movie that I saw him in a few like a movie I saw him in a year or two ago, The Bad Batch, I thought was insanely good, and he was great in it. So I'm gonna have to say that Jim Carrey Renaissance is on the horizon, perhaps.
Oh, yeah.
Will it be as big as the McConaissance or the Dinkle Age? I don't know.
The Dinkle Age just came and went.
Carrey.
Is the Dinkle Age still happening?
The Dinkle Age and the McConaissance.
All right. I'm just imagining Jim Carrey's giant head just rising above the horizon and him smiling down at everybody before he like
whatever keeps him from like debating people on Twitter all day.
Whatever keeps him away from the conversation about vaccines.
Oh yeah, right. Let's not even get into that.
That's how he defeats Sonic.
Not because he's a great actor, and I don't want to ruin like my own opinion of someone I respect.
Vaccines don't cause autism, people. Okay.
Jim Carrey does.
Jim Carrey has his opinions. I like the guy, but like Jim, you gotta do your research, man. How the fuck did we get from Sonic to vaccines, bro?
It's the power.
How we got from Sonic to vaccines is Sonic is strongly associated with autism.
That's he has a lot of autistic fans. I mean, I have Asperger's, and I had an obsession with Sonic for a while. Not as big as my obsession with
apparently the shade of like, and I don't have any like facts to back this up, so this could just be like conjecture and internet rumor, but I've heard that the specific shade of blue that Sonic is typically attracts people who are on the spectrum more so than other individuals, like statistically speaking. I don't know if that again, I'm going to preface this, I don't know if that's true. So Mr. Science in the comments, tear me to shreds if you will. But
All right, so I don't know what the Sonic movie is going to bring because other than his design, it just looks okay. The design is really the only noticeable thing about that trailer. Who's voicing Sonic?
Jason
Schwartzman.
Jason Schwartzman?
Yeah. No, Ben Schwartz.
Ben Schwartz.
Who's Ben Schwartz?
From fucking Parks and Rec.
I never watched that.
But I think that's a reasonably good voice of Sonic. I wouldn't want them to bring back the fucking 4Kids actor. Not that he was horrible or anything, but I don't think he would fit in for like a live action picture.
Wait, which 4Kids actor isn't it? Isn't that Urkel or something?
No, that's Sonic AM or something.
Yeah.
Oh.
No, Urkel was.
Yeah, that was Sad AM and Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog was Urkel.
I don't know. My first introduction with Sonic was the 4Kids version, anyway. But
the movie just looks like a safe film, and I know this is a rude thing to call to a movie that hasn't come out yet. It looks like it's going to be the same plot of the Smurfs, where this is my
you're right.
to the darks. I predict James Marsden's character is somebody that has to deal with a mistake, or someone that's going to become a father, and Sonic is to help him understand what that's like to take care of a kid.
Looks like it's going to be like a safe, fine, blasé family comedy, and that's what I expected, but it's not what I wanted. It's not what any of us wanted, I don't think.
Well, it's like you play the Sonic games, and it's these wild, crazy worlds that are really cleverly designed and
yeah, but you tell all that to a fucking marketing executive at Paramount or whatever, and they're gonna be like, yeah, well, we need to appeal to the kids with this, and this, and we need to appeal to the parents with this, and this. I think that's just
to know who Sonic is, though.
bad.
I don't know anybody else in this generation who doesn't. Even Jaden, my little brother, knows who Sonic is. You know?
He wishes he didn't, but he does.
Yeah. He's a character that stayed around. He's like Mario. He's just a character that has a general wide appeal regardless of generation. And of course, that also has to do with the constant amount of games released starring him every year, but whatever. Okay, we've been talking about Sonic for about 20 minutes now, so I guess we should move on.
Yes.
All right, to the real main event, the real reason we started this podcast, and that is to discuss a certain film, a certain little indie movie that was released recently about a couple of superheroes dealing with a mass genocide? Regicide? I don't... What's the word?
Big Purple Man.
Big Purple Man do a snap, want rocks.
Purple Giant.
Yes, a few individuals dealing with the result of the actions of a big purple motherfucker who snapped his fingers. Avengers Endgame, everyone.
Yeah.
So I saw the movie about a few days ago with Chuck, Glenn, and a couple of other people. We got up really fucking early to see it. I think I got up around 6 a.m. We ended up seeing the movie at like, what was it, the 10 o'clock showing, Chuck?
I think it was either the 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock showing.
Yeah, it was around the 10 o'clock showing, and Chuck wanted to go early. And I was really fucking tired, man. I had to fucking walk there. The sun was heating on me, and I don't think I even drunk or ate anything until I think Hoffman gave me some popcorn. And matter of fact, I had to miss the... oh, by the way, we are discussing spoilers. Just to let you know, I missed the Ant-Man turn into the Ant-Man baby scene because I had to get up to go get a drink of High C fruit punch. But
nice plug.
and so my opinion, I see fruit punch. Quench the whatever the fucking slogan is. So,
yeah, this podcast is sponsored by.
Feel the beat.
But anyway, we watched the movie, and my opinions on the film were, while I don't think I liked it as much as I did Endgame, I was still.
Or as you did Infinity War, you mean?
I didn't like it as much as I did Infinity War, but my overall impression of it was, for like, 11 or 10 years worth of movies, that was pretty damn good and a nice closing chapter to this 10-year saga.
Exactly. I felt the same way, but it also is introducing new characters or new versions of characters that I think will be a lot more influential as well as more compelling. And because, mind if I spoil one thing?
Sure. No, it's all spoilers here.
We have Professor Hulk, which is Bruce Banner and Hulk finally got their differences together, and they are now one person.
Okay, wait. Now that we're into spoilers, can I just shout all the big ones?
No,
not yet.
Wait, hang on.
Black Widow dies.
Wait. Grayson. I want Austin to give his more. I want you to give more of a...
Sorry, go ahead, Austin. I am sorry.
All right, Austin, I want you to give a more general opinion before we get into spoilers.
I felt that this film was a great epic along the lines of Lawrence of Arabia and Ben-Hur, but in the superhero genre sort of way. And this is someone that equates Zack Snyder's stuff to that, and I go, after Endgame, this stuff trumps anything Zack Snyder does. I am sorry, Snyder fans, if you are hearing me say this, but Endgame.
I thought you were a Snyder fan.
Yeah, you've been defending him on here for a bit.
That was until I saw Endgame. It's just like, why couldn't you do that?
All right.
Why couldn't you do that?
Like, wake the fuck up. If you don't think that Thanos had to die in the first act, then you're living in a fucking dream world, man. And before you lose your virginity to this awesome fucking movie, just remember that I'm the one who, whatever the fuck he said. Anyway, Glenn.
You can just hear somebody go, here he goes.
Glenn.
So you would equate Endgame with that of an epic?
Huh?
I forget who said that. Did somebody just compare Avengers Endgame to an epic?
Yes.
I guess that.
I don't know if I would call it an epic. I get it because of the runtime, but I wouldn't compare it to Lawrence of Arabia.
Nah, me neither.
All right.
Well, it's in terms of
plot-wise, it doesn't really fit.
Glenn, general opinions, Glenn.
I liked it. I thought the thing that I had trouble with Infinity War because I thought it dragged a little bit in some parts, and I thought it was boring at some parts. But I still liked it. I liked Endgame a lot more, though. I thought Endgame was better. I thought it was a lean 3 hours, and it went really well, and it had some really awesome iconic scenes, and it had Fat Thor.
Right.
I like Fat Thor.
You mean Thorbowski?
Yeah, Big Lebowski. Yeah, I love that
Thorbowski
movie.
The Mighty Lebowski.
The Mighty Lebowski.
The great dude, as he is known.
Yes.
Colloquially.
Chuck, general opinions.
On Endgame?
Yeah.
I really like the time travel stuff. I really liked revisiting other films. Of course, Spider-Man's now going to have to graduate 5 years after he was supposed to.
Oh, right. We talked about that.
They violated their own theory of time travel by having Steve Rogers pop up at the end because they had this thing where when you travel back in time, you create alternate realities. Him being there at the end was indicated it was one same reality, so that was weird. Unless he somehow managed to.
No, what I heard was that he went to a different other reality.
Yeah,
but it's weird because if you went to another reality, there's another Captain America.
Grayson, you have to stop moving your phone.
Yeah, another Captain America who but he returned to his own reality. Remember?
That's what I said, but last time I said that you were like, no.
This is so confusing.
Anything else, Chuck?
No. Yeah. What?
You don't like when I said that.
Yeah. Okay. So he traveled back in time.
Okay,
when he
they're going to
traveled
be
back in
arguing
time,
like this
created
for a while.
another reality.
It's like this when I go to the dorm room.
But you see, he is in. When they see him, when he talks,
Charlie.
When he talks,
I read about it.
Let me
Jesus
see.
Christ. Charlie.
When he talks with Anthony.
Fine.
All right. No one better bring up the Goku Superman death battle episode, or else these guys are gonna be at it.
Get the hose, everybody. We have to hose him down. Okay.
Well,
Glenn.
Joe Russo
Now let Glenn talk. Let him speak.
One of the directors of the film, it was either Joe or Anthony Russo, they were talking about this, and they were talking about the time stuff. in Infinity War, or it was one of the writers.
We have to move on. We will get to that, but we can't stay on that right now.
Yeah.
All right.
Let him finish the thought.
All right.
So he was pretty much saying that what Cap did was he went to a alternate reality, and then he came back to the reality that he was in before, but he went to an alternate reality to do all that stuff. Okay. So he went to do 2 different realities. He came back to our reality after he went to the other, alternate reality.
After Peggy died.
After Peggy died.
Without
exactly.
going back on the platform, but we will get to that. So anyway, we have, he just showed up. Lucky Star-Lord.
Yo, what's up? Yo, I was late, man. I was watching the new episode of Game of Thrones.
Oh, that's all right. We were just, we already discussed the Sonic trailer. Any opinions on that trailer?
On the Sonic trailer?
There's no time for previous topics.
Just say a letter.
We had to move on.
Just a quick snippet.
I see.
Opinion.
Okay.
Yeah, I see how it is.
The best response I got is, That's the best I got at the moment.
All right. Well, that's a good response. That's
it's
a good
an excellent response. But to finish up how I feel about Endgame, I feel that this is a great storyline. Mm-hmm. There are some things that you're going to be shocked by and some things you're going to be disappointed by. Mm-hmm. But overall, it's incredible. And it has a great opening sequence. And I felt that although they do force some emotional connections on people like Hawkeye, but his opening scene in the movie is perfect. It was perfectly done.
All right.
And you do feel the stakes for him.
All right. Star-Lord? Well, of course. Star-Lord, you want to give your opinion on what's your general consensus?
Yeah, since you fucked up Infinity War.
On Endgame.
My general consensus on Endgame as a film is it's like I summed it up best in a tweet I made recently. Endgame is a fun, hype, and at times emotionally moving mess. It's still a mess at the end of the day when I look at this film. I feel like for the final chapter of the Infinity Saga, it works as three, like when you divide up the film into its 3 acts, if you look at each act as a separate entity, it seems to work. But when you add them all together and you look at the whole film as a whole product, you find yourself, or at least I found myself, somewhat like unable to really like buy in completely to like this as the ultimate and masterpiece ending to these this 10 years in the making universe right here. For example, it's funny that you guys brought up Hawkeye a second ago. When I feel like the sequence on Vermeer.
Wait. I think we'll get to that. But just wanted a general opinion before spoilers. General opinion.
Gotcha.
Great moments in this movie. It's very moving in the last and final fight. My God, people were just in awe watching this. There were great moments of female characters, of male characters, of everybody fighting side by side, even from the villain areas. There are some good twists and turns, and it was good seeing all these characters together again, especially now since James Gunn is coming back for Volume 3 of Guardians.
Oh, yeah!
So we can all agree that we all generally like...
down.
So we can all agree that we all...
First he's got to do Suicide Squad 2, which is...
So we can all agree that we generally like Endgame as a movie, right?
Yes, Endgame is a very good movie.
Oh, wait, Manny, I forgot about you.
Can I just say, yeah.
Manny, what did you think about Endgame?
I liked it.
Dude, I loved this movie. I felt like for the first time watching...
Grayson, I was asking Manny.
Oh, Manny, sorry, didn't mean to step on any toes.
Yeah, I liked it. I have my issues with it because no movie is perfect in my opinion, but I believe there were more pros than cons. So
all right,
it was an entertaining movie.
All right, so
I did like the part in spoiler mode here that Iron Man hugged Spider-Man. I just felt like that felt like a good payoff.
Right.
And especially now, if you guys saw the new Spider-Man trailer, that's going to actually carry over into that movie. Where I love the ending where it's also he hugs Ned, and it's just like this traumatic moment.
This like this beautiful bro moment.
I think we should give a general plot synopsis of what happens first before we move on, because I think if we jumble up around spoilers, it'll be a bit chaotic and people will be a bit confused as to what they're getting into.
It's like a time travel adventure.
Yeah.
The end.
This takes place. The film opens up sometime after the snapshot of Infinity War, and we find Iron Man.
You mean the Zack Snapshot?
Yeah, the Zack Snapshot. And we find Iron Man and Nebula aboard the Guardians of the Galaxy ship, where they are eventually found by Captain Marvel, who brings them back to Earth. Yes, we'll be getting to that. And then we learn that the Avengers have managed to track Thanos down to a planet. They go to that planet, and in probably one of the biggest surprises of the film, Thanos, the one we knew of Infinity War at least, dies during the first act of the film, in a pretty gruesome way, I might add. And 5 years later, we find that the world and most of the universe has gone to shit as a result of Thanos' actions. And also, the Avengers are just down in the dumps and are living in despair because, as we found out earlier, Thanos apparently had destroyed the Infinity Stones because, as he said, they would have just served as temptation for him. Temptation as to whether or not to get rid of all the universe, or to reverse the effects of the snapshot. I don't know, but all things.
Just for clarity, can we just identify Thanos as Zack Snyder just for a gag?
Okay, fine. So Zack Snyder reveals that he destroyed all the
Zack Thanos.
Zack Thanos reveals that he destroyed all the Infinity Stones. And we cut to 5 years later, where the Avengers have sort of moved on and are trying to deal with the impact of, as well as the rest of the world, is trying to deal with the impact of Zack Thanos' actions. And all seems lost until Ant-Man, who, as seen in the events of Ant-Man and the Wasp, escapes the quantum realm. And
thanks to a rat.
Thanks to a fucking rat.
By the way, Ant-Man's part in when he finally gets out of there is funny and emotional. Well, I was about in tears. Saying, "Oh man!"
And because of his time in the quantum realm, the Avengers have now found a way to somehow reverse the effects of the snapshot. And that's the general synopsis of the film. And now we'll be getting the spoilers. Who wants to go first?
Doesn't that mean the story takes place in 2024?
2023, yeah. I think.
Yeah, 23.
Yeah.
It's 5 years after the snap.
This whole movie...
Because they're not just going to say, oh, it's just 2019. It's like, bullshit.
This whole movie starts because of a fucking rat.
Ninja Turtles
just fooling around with...
Oh, yeah, it was Splinter, man. It was totally Splinter.
This masked Splinter who saved Ant-Man.
Teenage. Wait, aren't the Turtles a DC thing? I don't know, but
the Turtles,
are
third party. They're inside of Marvel DC.
All right.
Yeah.
But
don't worry. When Disney buys the Turtles, they'll confirm it.
That'll happen eventually, man.
They buy the Turtles. Oh my god.
They own half the fucking world now, man. But yeah. So now I'm just imagining Doctor Strange as he's looking through 14.1 million possible scenarios. The one scenario that he saw they would win was because of a fucking rat, and I just find that hysterical.
Yeah,
that's Ant-Man's life. If it's not being saved by a van, it's being saved by a rat.
Fucking
while I was after I watched this film, I went online and saw an article the Russo brothers had been asked a series of questions, and someone had asked them, "Hey, was when Doctor Strange looked into the future, was some of the reasons why the Avengers lost because the rat just didn't fuck around on the console?" And they were like, "Yeah, in a couple of timelines, the rat just didn't let Ant-Man out, so they just didn't win. Nothing ever happened."
That's
not Splinter.
amazing.
Why you gotta be such an asshole?
Grayson, whatever you're doing, it's causing a lot of... I'm gonna have to...
Oh, he just got into the quantum realm.
All right.
He's crap now.
All right. So, I generally thought that the first act of this film was incredibly dour in the best way possible. I loved the way we saw these characters as to where they were at this point in time, at the point in time the film skips to. And I just think back to that scene where Captain America is in that support group, which I suppose is a reference to the Winter Soldier, where he found Sam. Never thought about that really, but he sort of took over Sam's role of that support group and sort of listening to people's problems and whatever. But that scene where one of the Russo brothers, who's playing a gay dude, is describing his date with a guy and just how they realized just how horrible the situation was, and they both end up, being brought to tears. I felt that the writing of the film really let you realize just how bad Thanos screwed everyone up.
Oh yeah, especially Scott. Like, I think Scott had the worst of all of it because, spoiler, his daughter did not get snapped, so she's alive, but she is a teenager, possibly living on her own. Mm-hmm. And she has grown up without him for 5 years. And you can see in Paul Rudd's facial expressions that he's missed out on so much. And he's just like, Thanos took my daughter's childhood away. Mm-hmm. And I got it. I got Ant-Man and Spider-Man are now my favorite characters in the MCU.
I think that one scene was the first time where I ever felt emotionally connected to Ant-Man.
Yeah.
Well, because that's the core motive of Ant-Man in every single one. He needs to be a good person for his daughter. And granted, he is a good person, but he's a dumb person too. But he's very smart. He's the dumbest smart person ever.
What did you think, Glenn?
Well, I liked Ant-Man and Spider-Man. Those are definitely my two favorites as well. But I liked Ant-Man, before then, because I actually enjoy his movies. A lot of people don't.
What did you think of the first half of the film?
Oh, I thought it was really good. I thought it was good how we got to see where everybody ended up after, the murder of Thanos. Mm-hmm. I thought it was funny seeing, that diner scene with Professor Hawken and the scene with, Fat Thor and Korg returning. Mm-hmm. That was all funny.
I was glad to find out that Korg survived, because I'm like,
I love Korg. Oh god, it's like, hey everyone, Meek. Meek and Meek.
Don't forget Korg and Meek. Call me Meek. Taika Waititi is.
Call me Meek.
No problem.
Taika Waititi is an amazing director and actor, and I'm looking forward to his Akira remake, which I know is a hot button thing for you, Danielle.
Wait,
no.
Wait, Taika Waititi is doing the Akira remake?
Yeah, no, I'm fine with him directing it.
And Leonardo DiCaprio is producing it.
Yeah, they're filming it.
Hey, I love Akira and I love Taika Waititi, but I don't think those things mix.
Well, they're filming it.
You never know.
They're filming it pretty soon, because I know that there was some part of some kind of tax deal to get more movies filmed in California. But anyway, Star-Lord, what did you think of the first half of the film?
First half of the film. All right. So when it starts, like we already covered, like the film starts beautifully dour and just like the ways that I wanted the whole movie to be, honestly. When I heard about Endgame, I was imagining this kind of intimate, like comic event wherein, like, something akin to how the Age of Ultron comics actually ran, where it's just like a depressing and dour mood the entire time, and it perfectly captures that after what happened in Infinity War. Mm-hmm. And, from going from Hawkeye's family being dusted on the farm, from going to the hopeless situation with the Avengers, mm-hmm. unable to reverse what Thanos did, back to Scott coming out of the quantum realm and seeing like a world scarred and like just ravaged by But some things in the start like showed me like how there was going to be problems with the film going forward. For example, Captain Marvel was introduced like to us via the end credit in Infinity War. She got her solo flick in between to give us some context, and she showed up to save Tony and help them take care of main timeline Thanos. But after that, she leaves the story extensively, and we're just given the general assumption that she's busy taking care of stuff out in space.
She feels like an cameo.
Yeah, and honestly, it feels kind of contrived when you think the Avengers come up with their plan to reverse everything that happened, and as Kevin Feige annoyingly stated, Captain Marvel is the strongest Avenger. She's been so much help getting the stones, especially since part of their issue getting the stones was, oh yeah, this is in our own personal history. We need to be careful about how we affect it. Captain Marvel wasn't even there, and she can travel at like the speed of light. It's like, why did you guys not call her? Why did the movie not even like say anything about it? Like, I honestly did not want her to be in this movie, but I also knew she had to be like important. She had to be in the focus, but the movie decided, nah, she's just going to be an extended cameo at best. And
did you like the Captain Marvel movie or?
Oh no.
But well, okay, let's not get into that. Chuck, any opinions from you?
On specifically what?
Like how did you feel about the progression of the first half? I think I'm gonna go through this in acts and whatever.
Okay, the progression of the first act, which pretty much leads up to them like deciding time travel, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, that was a setup. Like they pretty much like the first thing you think they're gonna do is they're gonna all team together now and get with Captain Marvel and they're gonna like kill Thanos, which they do, and they do that right out the gate.
Mm-hmm.
And then the rat comes along, and and that's pretty much the inciting incident. So like the first half ends when they kill Thanos, and then the real action happens, and then Ant-Man has that hero's journey where he like returns after like, oh my gosh, my like things have changed, and he goes into the wall and then he sees he looks for his daughter's name, then he sees his name. What? So yeah.
I honestly, when Ant-Man goes into that graveyard or the graveyard, was it a graveyard? Was it a memorial?
Yeah. Memorial.
The memorial. When Ant-Man finds that memorial, I think it was then where they sort of show you just the impact, just one of the many great ways they show you just the impact of Thanos' actions without even having to say anything. Honestly, that the whole memorial scene gave me like flashbacks to Evangelion, where all those statues standing over there, and it just goes on for miles without end. And I honestly felt that Paul Rudd finally got to show his acting chops, as well as even Scarlett Johansson. A lot of the actors who I felt throughout these movies haven't been able to actually show what they can do, really put the effort in. And I think, like, for the first time, I'm actually feeling emotionally connected to a lot of these characters. And I did really feel bad for Ant-Man to having to see his own daughter, who's basically practically a woman now.
Yeah, what's that like? What's that dynamic like? Because she's just like, oh, you're here, but like normally you expect her to be like, why do you go? But none of that happened.
No,
it's amazing. Both this and Infinity War, they stuffed a lot in there,
And I'm surprised that she wasn't like angry. Well, I wouldn't expect her to be angry, but I guess she was just glad to finally see someone. Did her parents also get erased? But I guess she was just glad to finally see somebody who she loves back in her life. But man, that was really impactful. And I think we were even discussing this earlier, Charlie. Spider-Man missed 5 fucking years of high school. What the fuck?
Yeah, imagine what it's like to have peers who are suddenly 5 years older than you, or oh, you've graduated, and you're like I got to finish this year.
Well, what did I say at McDonald's? We were supposed to be the class of 2020, but now we're the class of
25?
25.
Yeah, I know. It depends when he started.
Well, Homecoming came out in 2016, right?
Yeah. Well, like if you're a freshman.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The cool thing about the time skip, in which I just told to a friend recently, if you guys remember the events of Homecoming and Aaron Davis's character, he mentions his nephew and how his nephew's like around 9 or 10 or something. I think they got the perfect setup with this time skip to make Miles Spider-Man age. Yeah, make him Spider-Man age and make him able to run it in the third movie or whatever have you.
Holy shit.
Well, that's a way around rapid aging syndrome.
Yeah. All right. Didn't Kevin Feige actually say that Peter Parker was actually that little kid from Iron Man 2?
Yeah, something about that, yeah.
Does that add up?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. But anyway.
But there's weird timeline shenanigans that help explain it.
All right. So now anytime there's a continuity mistake, we can just be like, oh, wait, no. That doesn't make sense.
Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Crisis on Infinite Earths.
It's been confirmed.
Right.
It's been confirmed. Don't worry about it.
But wait, I just want to point out...
When did Iron Man 2 come out? 2010?
10? I remember it coming out pretty quickly after the first one.
You always forget how first one came out.
Iron Man 2 was 2011.
Okay.
Oh.
Was it?
Yeah.
You have those numbers in front of you?
2010.
I don't think it was because I think
2010.
Wait, hold on.
There we go.
All right, that makes sense. That adds up, I guess. All right, what was I saying? But yeah, also Scarlett Johansson.
Oh yeah.
I've liked Black Widow ever since Winter Soldier. I don't think I really cared for an Iron Man 2, but I think Winter Soldier started made me warm up to her more. But I think here we can really see that. I remember her mentioning in Winter Soldier that she's not the type of person to have friends or care about people. But I think losing half of the Avengers as well as half of everyone else she probably knows really affected her, and
as well as calling them family.
Yeah, she lost her family, and I think nearly everyone in this movie lost her family. And
that was she was a really tragic character in this movie in particular, but
not as tragic as Iron Man. Iron Man lost a kid.
Oh, absolutely not as tragic as Iron Man. Iron Man lost his entire life is gone.
Well, no, I mean,
but his family.
He's still got his family.
Yeah.
All right, we forgot to. I guess we should move into that. Iron Man actually has a daughter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They actually tied up that plot for it from Infinity War because I was watching it last night and he mentions that he wanted to have a kid. So he and Pepper.
Yeah, I was wondering how they were going to recapture that. I didn't expect them to just jump to him having a kid, though. You know.
And I think the time skip really allows for the characters to gives a lot more weight to the situation. All this time has really put a toll on them. But of course.
So I thought, in terms of kid actors, that kid was really good. She was good.
Did you?
Yeah, I thought she was all right.
Everyone else thinks she was good.
I thought the last scene was iffy. Like the scene that she had with Happy with Jon Favreau.
I liked her in that. Sometimes I had a hard time understanding her. You know what I mean? But I guess.
Well, little kids have weird, mumbly voices, speech impediments and stuff.
Wait, how old was she?
5.
5. Okay, well, I guess that makes sense there. But
I was just the scene with Happy Hogan and Jon Favreau at the end. I didn't like it because she didn't seem like she just lost her dad, you know. But I don't blame her. She's 5.
A 5-year-old
kid.
Understand what death was. She probably just thought Daddy's just taking a nap.
Nah, he's dead. Your dad died.
Oh fuck, that must be impactful.
Not coming back.
I did like how they referenced the first Iron Man. Apparently, I didn't look any of this up, but she asked for a cheeseburger, which is the first thing that Tony Stark asked for in the very first Iron Man when he comes back from being kidnapped or whatever. But like this whole movie, actually, with the exception of Captain Marvel, makes me care for characters that I thought I would never care about in a million years. Even fucking Nebula is compelling. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Nebula had more.
She had a more emotional weight to her. I think back to like that the opening scene with them on the Guardian ship, like
playing paper football.
Yeah, playing paper football. It's like Tony was sort of like became a father figure to her, and that's probably the first time in her life she's had a father figure that wasn't like dismissive of everything she does, you know.
Yeah.
It's really impactful stuff. But I guess we should be moving on to the second act here. The whole universe is saved by a rat, and Ant-Man is figured out the way of time travel. And let me just point out that this movie's version of time travel is exactly the same as Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah.
Oh, you're right. You're right. You're right. You're right. You're really right on that.
Holy shit!
Basically, Bill and Ted rules. Like, as long as you put stuff back, everything's fine.
Yeah. Not just that. But in Dragon Ball Z, it's
no, it's not Bill and Ted because Bill and Ted's one reality. But they do have to go back into those other realities, you know, into those and restore things, you know. But it doesn't affect their own reality. The changes they make in those realities don't change.
Yeah. Which is exactly how Trunks explains it in Dragon Ball Z. It's like, no, defeating the androids in this timeline won't change anything. If anything, I just gotta train here, go back to my timeline, and stop the androids. Which is, and I guess the Infinity Stones are their version of the Dragon Balls. When you think about it, this whole
There's 6 Infinity Stones. How many Dragon Balls are there?
Oh wait, there's 7.
But like no one has to die every time they summon Shenron, though.
No, nobody has to die to get the 4-star ball. We'll definitely be getting to that. But I definitely, I personally like the fact that the whole movie was basically,
We're short by 1. There's 7 Dragon Balls.
Yeah, there's 7
6
Dragon Balls,
Infinity
6
Stones.
Infinity Stones. So if there were 7, they would basically be Dragon Ball Z. Did anyone here like the time travel shenanigans?
It was goofy.
To a degree,
yeah.
Reminds me of, you know, the Deep Space Nine episode Trials and Tribulations.
What? Oh, right. What's that?
You know, the for the 30th anniversary of Star Trek.
Oh, wait, I know the one that you're talking about, the episode where Cisco and the gang goes to like the TOS time.
Yeah, they return. They return to the time period of a fan favorite, the Trouble Tribbles, and they digitally insert the characters into the episode because there's this guy who went back in time. He's trying to kill Captain Kirk. He wants revenge, so they go hunt, and they go with him back in time, and they got to stop him from killing Captain. Or maintain the timeline. And they're all decked down in the original series uniforms and everything like that, and it's just like a fun throwback. And that's kind of what it's like seeing them in Endgame when they go into all these time periods. Is you're like, oh, I remember that. Oh, that's cool. Like you get that. Nostalgia.
Yeah, personally, it reminded me of Back to the Future 2. I guess that's kind of like
another good example.
It's something they mentioned in the movie.
It's kind of like the normie choice version of that, I suppose.
Well, come on,
but okay, I liked everything in the movie, but like to me, the movie wasn't about like all the plot shit. More about like having those big emotional beats with the characters, like that amazing scene with Thor and his mom, or that or of course the seeing Tony get to be a father, and all that stuff. It was a very cathartic experience.
And to be honest,
that's the only way I can really describe it.
Well, to be honest with you, I found all the time travel stuff pretty neat for the most part. I think my favorite would have to be just the Cap with them going back to the original Avengers movie and Captain America just walking into that elevator because I don't know if any of you are aware of this, but the Captain America: The Winter Soldier is quite literally my favorite MCU movie, and I guess I guess Infinity War and Endgame are rivaling that position, but just to see him actually say "Hail Hydra," but unlike the comics, he's under a guise, was pretty fun. To actually see Star-Lord dancing with "I'll Come and Get Your Love" playing in the background was a nice touch.
Yeah.
I like Rhodey's comment,
nice
so
touch.
he's an idiot and shit. I hear a lot of complaints that the movie.
Of course, my favorite of all the quips in the movie was America's ass.
Yeah, I was about to say I love
was
That's
gonna say
America's
that.
ass.
That was hilarious.
You know, Captain America has become very used to like modern day when he's commenting on men's asses.
Yeah, like
particularly his own.
like I've always found that weird. Like he never seemed to carry over any of like the common traits of the 40s. Like he always just seemed like a modern dude who doesn't understand modern pop culture references.
Which
that always kind of bugged me. Like at the same time, are you gonna have him be like racist, sexist, homophobe, or something?
Like that would have been fun though.
That would have been hilarious.
That's what I always expected from like a Captain America movie. He'd be calling people like, "Hey, sport. Hey, darling. Cap, you're not allowed to say that anymore. She could sue you for harassment." What the hell is harassment? I would have liked that, and I guess that's my only gripe about these Captain America movies. He doesn't seem like a guy from the 40s. Like,
I mean, at least in the Avengers, they mentioned the reference from The Wizard of Oz, and then he said, "I understood that reference."
Yeah, that's.
I think in
I mean, that is kind of. You're trying to make like this family-friendly, like big action comedy franchise. I understand why you wouldn't do that.
Yeah, you can't.
But that doesn't mean that that doesn't mean that I don't want it though. I want it so much.
Well, look. About as much as you want it, Disney will never let Captain America go into a diner and call the black waiter boy. Yeah.
Like okay, like I was on or my friend was on a similar stick where they were thinking like Cap should be a lot less progressive than he is, but like there were progressive people around the time. At least one or two people were at least like progressive enough not to be bigoted in these kind of overt ways.
Plus, he's from New York. That's a pretty liberal place.
New York. That's a pretty progressive area. Granted, I'm sorry, Dan. I gotta say the Cap stuff, the Cap stuff going back in time, it was neat to me. It was kind of like a novelty, but the real meat for the time travel stuff, I feel like, was actually the nods that they went towards Thor: The Dark World. Oddly enough. Yeah, like it was really compelling to see Thor like aged 8 years since he saw his mom die. Look at his mother. His mother automatically know that it's his son.
Wait, what is that?
Automatically know he's been beaten, battered, all this shit, and it's just all like it's a really touching moment. And he tries his best to try to save her, but like she's like, no, it's like. You do what you came here to do and just keep moving.
So Endgame.
I honestly never understood why people don't like Thor: The Dark World.
It's not a good movie.
It's not as bad as people make it out to be. It's really not.
It's not bad. It's just boring. Yeah, it's just boring.
It's the most lackluster MCU movie for me. But I like Endgame's so good that it even made that good.
I prefer it over either one of the Iron Man sequels. I don't like either of those.
I don't like Iron Man 2.
Yeah, I mean,
I'll just say I love Iron Man 3, but 2, I could have done that.
Iron Man 3, ironically enough, the thing that people complain about, which is like the Mandarin reveal, I actually thought was the most brilliant part of the movie.
Yeah, it was a fun twist.
I hated it because I actually really like Mandarin in the comics. He's like one of the most powerful villains, and they kind of ruined it for me. So,
Chuck, you've always been.
Well, do you remember that one shot? You don't remember the one shot where they try to like retcon the fact, oh, there is a Mandarin now.
Oh wait, I remember that. Yeah, Chuck, you've always been a defender of Iron Man 2.
Yeah, I have. Because Iron Man 2 was one of the first movies where you're like, oh, the Avengers is actually happening.
Uh-huh.
And you saw the first hints of it. You saw like Captain America's shield, you had Black Widow in it. You at the end credits teaser teased Thor. Like it was the first movie that was like kind of building up to it, and you're like, oh, this is actually happening. That's what was so cool about it.
Oh wait, I've just realized this. We haven't even discussed Fat Thor.
yeah, Fat Thor is awesome.
Yeah.
I don't know if I really.
Okay,
Yeah, I've been thinking about that shit
Fat is
too.
improper. He is thick. I'll have you know.
Okay,
Like-
Star-Lord, what's your opinion on Fat Thor? Because I've got my.
Yeah, I saw some tweets about it that made me think, yeah, that's kind of fucked up. Like how he gets like fat, and that's the joke because he's suffering from PTSD, and everyone in the theater is just like laughing at, oh look, he's fat, and he's a goofy fat guy who's very depressed and constantly drunk to fucking deal with the depression he's got from not feeling like he did enough to save half of life. But everyone's just laughing at like Chris Hemsworth in a fat suit with some CGI over it. And that's why the Dark World thing seemed like really poignant to me, because like it was the movie treating Thor with the kind of severity that I feel like they should have done the whole time. Like our boy Professor Hulk, when he's like, showing earnest concern for Thor when he pulls up, while like, it's being off-played by like the comedy of the scene, the Fortnite, the Rocket Raccoon, like just like giving like disgusted looks towards Thor. It's just like I just liked that, like liked it if they would have treated it with more severity, and if it wasn't much of a the punchline, like if he wasn't the butt of the joke because of he just happened to handle the death of like half the universe a little worse than everybody else.
I just like, I don't know. I was thinking about it. I suppose the Dark World scene allows him to realize that, okay, yeah, I fucked up. I'm fat and I'm depressed, but like I'm still worthy. I can still wield Malamam or whatever the fuck it is.
Mjolnir, yeah.
Mjolnir. But at the end of the day, I just think to myself, okay, but does he learn anything?
He does. He does.
Like, what's the payoff of him learning that he's still worthy?
Throughout the whole, like, my thing is throughout all of the movies that he's been in, Thor learns to accept that he's not this god of thunder, and that he's not like, he needs to like make his own path. Like he needs to be his own person. He learns to accept himself for who he truly is. And he may not be a thunder god. He may not be, the most powerful, Avenger, but he learns to accept who he like truly is.
And that is
his own person, which is like that he's not supposed to save everybody. He's not supposed to save the world. Sometimes he's not going to be able to do those things. He holds himself in such a high regard because he is a thunder god. He's a god, but he needs to learn to accept not to do that all the time.
Well, that's always been my problem with Thor, because I don't think I really cared about him until Ragnarok. And Ragnarok, well, it sort of lightened his character up instead of him being sort of all serious all the time. And while there was a comedy in the Thor movies, it was more fish out of water comedy. But I guess with him spending so much time with humans on Earth, he sort of just transitioned into this sort of jokey surfer bro. I think I remember Chris Hemsworth saying like, well, I can't play him as an Australian. But I think with Taika Waititi, he basically is just playing like a jokier version of Chris Hemsworth. But I think ever since Infinity War,
Chris Hemsworth is kind of naturally funny.
Yeah, Chris Hemsworth is naturally funny, but like Ragnarok added a new dimension to Thor. But I felt like ever since Infinity War, the Russo brothers have sort of muddled up that change, and now I don't know what Thor is supposed to be anymore.
Like, well, I would say that Thor has been since Infinity War.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like his character arc has not really, been muddled. More so that simply losing Loki was like the straw that broke the camel's back. That like now Thor just had to focus on like all that he's lost. Like in Ragnarok, he was focusing on like how he lost his father, he lost his hammer, but his father came to him in a vision and said, "You're more than what you've lost. You still have so much left, and you have still so much power that you don't know that you have." And he gets that, and he gets that power, and he gets that confidence, and he assumes the responsibility that his father's been always trying to put on him. And then fucking Thanos comes in, crashes right into his life, fucks up everything, murders his brother, and then like he's just gotta be all that, at this point I'm just trying to break even. The universe has been shitting on me for like a decade now. I need to make peace with this shit.
Man, Thor
and
had
then
like the worst week.
yeah, and then like shit, like just he even when he has the power to like fix things, it's too little, too late, and so he's just like, what the fuck was like the point of like, I guess I never really was worthy. I guess I was like, all the shit I had, it was for fucking nothing. What is my value?
Mm-hmm.
And in Endgame, it's just him refinding his value, and that's why again the scene with his mother is so powerful. Because he finds his value back when he calls Mjolnir over towards him, and he's like, I'm not a fuck up like I thought I was. I'm not that bad. I can change. I can make good on all that's been like given to me."
Daniello,
Yeah.
me and Charlie are going to get something to eat, so we'll be right back. We're gonna leave the chat for a little bit.
All right. So,
Okay.
did any of you guys have? Wait, you know what? I should probably wait till Chuck gets back for this. But did any of you guys feel that Hawkeye was actually emotionally resonant for once, where it was like, where it was unevenly done in Age of Ultron, where Joss Whedon just thought that giving him a family would make him interesting?
Oh no, I felt like I bought into Hawkeye in Age of Ultron. Like, if you didn't buy into him in Age of Ultron and Civil War, or at some point, like, Endgame ain't gonna do it for you.
Hang on,
Endgame.
I'll be right back. All right, sorry, my brother was asking for the Mac, but what were you saying?
Yeah, I was saying, like, if you didn't already buy into what they were trying to set up with Hawkeye and Age of Ultron, it really, nothing that he goes through in this film, like you get the emotion that he lost his family, and that might be enough to like let you buy into him. But I felt like he was emotionally resonant enough in his like in what they've established for him already, that I was able to really just like feel for him and really just like see his fall from grace. Yeah, but like I really feel like they kind of squandered that a little bit with the Vermeer scene. If any of you guys feel the same way, where it kind of felt like after the second attempt to stop the other one from throwing themselves over the side of the cliff, it was kind of a bit excessive.
Well, I didn't think it was excessive so much as that I thought. Well, no, I didn't think it was excessive at all. I thought these characters are really willing to sacrifice themselves because they've lost everything, and but they still care about each other to the point where they're not even willing to let someone else die for them. They're willing to die for themselves, which I guess shows just how much. It was just another example of just how much these characters are willing to go to complete this mission. I sort of wish that we sort of saw Hawkeye on his sort of murder rampage on crime a bit more before they transitioned into the time travel stuff, but I guess that would have dragged the pacing down a bit. It's just afterwards, after Scarlet Witch, after Black Widow. I'm sorry, I call her Scarlett Johansson. After Scarlett Johansson convinces him to help, I guess I don't really know what he's supposed to be there for. After a while, you know what I mean? Like why do they need the guy who with the arrows?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I don't know. It just felt like that scene on the viewer mirror is like it established by like this the first exchange of them trying to stop one another from throwing themselves over, like how much they cared about each other and how much they were like willing to just be the one to sacrifice themselves. But like the amount of times it was all like, okay, now it's gonna throw themselves over, it's over. Oh no, just a small explosion to stop them from throwing themselves over the side. I was just all like, okay, this is kind of ridiculous. This is kind of crazy. And I was just thinking they were just trying their best because in the other time travel sequences, they could play around with what happened in the previous movies, try to figure out what's the best way to make it feel like something's new's happening here. But the scene on Veermeer was just like it had to follow a kind of straight along path. One of them was going to sacrifice themselves, and they even show Scarlett's dead body the same way they showed Gamora from the last movie, and it was just like okay.
Did you guys have an issue with Thanos, the Thanos that we know in Infinity War, being killed in the first act, only to be replaced with a Thanos who doesn't really know the characters as much?
Like he's not as invested. Yeah.
Yeah,
it really bumped down the finale for me.
because like the Infinity War Thanos was like this philosopher who was sort of like, what the fuck happened to him between the years to make him suddenly be like, all right, it's gonna fucking happen right now, bro. It's almost like Thanos like never even thought he would have succeeded in his mission, and when he's finally doing it in Infinity War, but I guess it's around the time he kills Gamora, and it's like, wow, this is actually fucking happening. I'm actually gonna do it, and I'm going through all this shit just to do it, and I guess that's why Infinity War Thanos was a bit more compelling because of what he put himself through to complete his mission, only to be replaced by the sort of Thanos that we sort of expected, like, I am evil and I'm going to do evil things. I'm going to destroy this world. Yeah.
Like honestly, I felt like we still had because it wasn't focusing on Thanos like Infinity War. The past Thanos I felt like had enough of Infinity War Thanos' building blocks there. It kind of like one of the things that really like makes you think, God damn, Thanos is like something someone to really take seriously is because there's that scene on Titan with Iron Man where he says Stark and like you know me, and it's like he knows the Avengers that he's fighting. He knows whom he's fighting, how to take, and you can imagine he knows how to possibly take them down. Because he's been like sitting on that chair for a hot minute. He's been like watching events play out. But this but this Thanos is just like, I got to snap on this shit. I don't know who half of y'all are. Scarlet Witch who? Scarlet Witch who? Vision who?
Y'all motherfuckers about to be filled with hot grass right now. I'm gonna leave this whole block filled with hot grass if I have to. He literally says that. He literally says, I'm going to fucking decimate this world, man. I guess we haven't even talked enough about the second act, I think. I don't think we've talked enough about like the real stars of this movie, Iron Man and Captain America.
Yep.
Yeah, man, for sure.
I remember how in Infinity War the complaint was that Captain America had nothing to do, and in this one, he is just giving it his A game, and both him and Chris Hemsworth, both Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Hemsworth, are like they just have wonderful chemistry together. And I don't think I've liked Iron Man this much since the first Iron Man, to be honest with you. I think, this is the character that has been built up from that scene where he's like, in Iron Man 1, where he's like, I saw young American soldiers die because of my actions. and I guess losing Peter affected him because as we see with him going back in 1970 to the 1970s after the botched mission to get the Infinity Cube or the Tesseract.
Yeah, the Tesseract.
The Tesseract. Captain America and Iron Man end up having to go back to the 1970s where both the Tesseract and more Pym particles, because that's how they're able to travel through time through Hank Pym's Pym particles. Yeah. He ends up meeting his father. And I think it was that moment where I realized that, oh, wow. I think losing Spider-Man made Captain America realize just what it was like being a father figure for once. And I think throughout his life, we've seen that he's always had a rough relationship with his dad. And I think with being with Peter, he's like, wow, I can be a better father than my father was to me. But then, like, he ends up getting that kid killed because of his actions. And I think that scene where he finally meets his father and realizes that no matter how hard his father was hard on him, he realized that deep down he did care in his own way, and that fathers will sometimes fail their children, but it's best to learn from your failures, and, which is sort of like the core of Iron Man's character, I feel. Learn from your failures and grow to be a better person.
For sure.
Yeah, hearts are not made, they're forged. I'm trying to come up with a clever quote here.
Yeah.
And it's great to see his interaction with his daughter. Robert Downey Jr. is like the dad you always want in this movie. Like he's like, doesn't he say at one point he's gonna build her an Iron Man suit? It's fucking awesome. Like, imagine if your dad built you a fucking suit of armor, man.
Yeah.
Oh man, honestly, he has to know better than that, man. You can't give a kid an Iron Man. You can't give a 5-year-old an Iron Man suit, man. She's good on the playground. She'll be too dangerous. Some kid will be all like, "Oh man, I want that ball you playing with." He's gonna pulse her blast in the chest.
They're like, "Can I play with your ball?" And she uses like the nanobot technology to summon like a blaster gun, and she's like, "Bitch, back the fuck up!" Ball, bitch.
Back the fuck up. She says, "Not even the police can take me. What's up? What's good?"
Pull out the Roscoe on y'all. But anyway, Iron Man is wonderful here, and to see his, I really like the 70s sequence, and I think Captain America is just sort of fucking done in this movie. I think he's like Thor. He's become sort of like just well adjusted to the modern world. But I think after losing Bucky and basically everyone else in his life, he is just ready to put his life on the line at whatever cost. And but I think, and like this is an example of the movie, and it does this many times. I think reveal characterization through visuals rather than saying anything. While in the 1970s, he sees Peggy Carter behind a window after hiding in an office, and I think at that moment he realizes, wow, there she is, and all I have to do is travel back in time, and by the end of this movie, I think he realizes that, you know what? I've died and come back several times. I've lost my best friend more than once. And I've defended the whole fucking world. I think I've earned some happiness. And I guess we're transitioning into the third act here.
Yeah.
Iron Man, Captain America ends the movie by going back to the 1940s and basically living life back as an old man. But I'm really waiting for Chuck to come back to discuss the time travel shenanigans, because we will get to that. Oh, but before we move into the third act, did anybody else feel that Nebula and 2014 Nebula and 2023 Nebula having the same memories converge with each other felt a bit contrived?
It kind of made sense in that, like, Ebony Moss said it's like she's signing into the same network, at the same time. It's like the network hasn't really changed. It's just like, and usually there's only supposed to be one person on it. So I could understand like why it happened, and it didn't seem like too out of left field for me. And I honestly thought that was kind of a clever way to have Thanos be coming to get wise to what the fuck's happening.
And I do have this one issue, and it doesn't ruin the movie for me, but it is a thought in the back of my head. Why didn't she just go back in time?
Wasn't she like glitching in a way? Like
Oh wait,
now
I remember. She had to go warn Hawkeye and Scarlet Witch because they went to the same time period with them, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so that was in the back of my mind. So I'm like, why didn't she just go back in time? Now Thanos can get the Pym particles. But, oh wait, now that I think about it. But then again, did she really have to warn them? I mean, the Hawkeye got... I guess she couldn't know where Thanos would have been going. It's just an issue for me, Because I guess...
Yeah, like the fact that she didn't, like, immediately, once she got control of her body again, just, like, fly back in time.
Uh-huh.
It's just, like, yeah.
And like, Hawkeye could have Hawkeye went back in time pretty quickly by himself. I mean... and I don't know how far how hyperspeed works in the MCU, but I don't know how fast Thanos could have even got to Vormir, and even if he did, I guess he could have gotten the Soul Stone because he was willing to sacrifice for more in the first place. But it is a small plot contrivance that I felt sort of affected, sort of bugged me, but not too much to the extent to where it ruined the whole movie for me.
Yeah.
I was also kind of disappointed that Captain Marvel didn't go with them.
Yeah, like that's just like my biggest issue with Captain Marvel in this movie is just like when they decide to use her, how they decide to use her. Like during the fucking it's crazy because like initially I was like talking to a coworker about this a while ago. Before I even saw Endgame. Like, we knew that the Thanos that they were going to be fighting was not going to have the gauntlet anymore. Like, he was going to be like, and now he's 2014 Thanos, which means inherently he can't be as strong as 2018 Thanos. And we see, even though he might be dealing with PTSD, even though he might be slightly less sober than he should be, Thor almost killed Boy at the end of Infinity War, and then we have Iron Man who's upgraded since his fight on Titan, who gave Boy with like 4 gems in his glove, some work, and then we got like Captain America, who I guess he's going to do something, I guess. The three of them walk up on him. And Thanos immediately starts handing them their asses, and I'm all like, where's the parallels here? Because like I know it's like a really,
and this is Thanos with a damaged hand, by the way.
Yeah, like it's like it's odd to me to think that like honestly, when you point out power levels in like movies or shit, like a lot of people will be all like, "You're
shit."
yeah. Most people would point out it's bullshit. You're overthinking it, but like the nature of that final battle really relied on how like Thanos is a threat that we need to take out as quickly as possible. But that's kind of weird when you could have taken him out when he was stronger earlier. And also when our strongest Avenger pulls up and takes a headbutt from Thanos and it's like walks it off. And she's not the one to kill him that we need to snap to take him out is just like, okay, that's odd. Especially when she grabbed the gauntlet and he's got all the stones in the gauntlet, and to get her to fuck off, he takes out the power stone to hit her with it alone. And I'm all like, shouldn't the gauntlet be enough to do it? Why is the power stone? Is the Power Stone weaker?
No, the gauntlet just allows him to use the Power Stone.
Didn't she get her powers from an Infinity Stone? Am I?
Yeah, like the Space Stone. She got it from like the Space Stone. But like, I'm just thinking just because Vision got his powers from like the Infinity Stones, but you saw that worked out for him.
Yeah, he got his ass whooped. I thought Vision was gonna be like the most powerful guy, and immediately in Infinity War, he's just fucking whooped, and it's like, holy shit, what do we do now?
Yeah, like it's like like. But seriously, focus on that moment with me where like she grabs that gauntlet and he takes his stone from it. Like the gauntlet is supposed to be like kind of like a collection of their powers. It shouldn't like weaken them at all. It shouldn't be like not like kind of like diluting their power. Like the Power Stones should, all of its range should be available to him, but he needs to take it out of the gauntlet to hit her with it. Rather than just like shoot a laser from the glove she's holding. I'm just all like, what's up, movie? Would you need some help?
You know it's a problem where even a character like Nebula, a character who's never been that interesting in the first place, is far more compelling than Captain fucking Marvel.
Yeah, than someone who's gotten their own solo film. That shit's like...
They got their own solo film. They made fucking Thor even got interesting. The Russo brothers made every character who I never thought I would care about actually interesting, except for Captain Marvel.
Like, honestly, Captain Marvel is just like currently the one of the biggest, and if not one of the few mistakes that Kevin Feige has made in like stressing her importance at this moment.
Okay, I liked her in this movie. I liked her in her own movie. All right, I thought she was fine there, but I'm like, because I feel like Marvel just makes movies just to introduce characters for later, but at the same time, like, even Ant-Man had a fucking point, you know? Ant-Man was introduced to get Bucky out or whatever, and like, but even he ended up being resonant in some way, and Captain Marvel was just like, well, we need somebody to find Iron Man.
Like, my thought process is, I don't know if you're familiar with this, but around the time that Joss Whedon was working on Age of Ultron, he had like to bend the knee a lot to like studio meddling and like wants and needs and checklists and shit. The one thing that he wanted to do was he wanted to introduce Captain Marvel during Age of Ultron. And I was thinking, yeah, you know what? Around phase 2, phase 3 would have, or like near the start of phase 3, would have been the best time to introduce Captain Marvel, get her around this level, have her be around for a bit, so we don't have to justify why she's gone for 23 years, and get her to like build a relationship with the rest of the Avengers.
With her saying that there's a lot of other planets out there, I suppose that.
Yeah, like. Is bugging. Like, one of the first things I was like ranting about after like I watched Captain Marvel was Ronan the Accuser is in her movie, and she does nothing about his like months of genocide during 2014 while she's out in space.
Like he's fucking decimating that planet. The Guardians are trying to. Where was she?
Where was she out there in space?
There's a lot of holes there, and in regards to the fact that there's apparently somebody so powerful out there that she could have easily handled any situation in the MCU by herself. And where was she?
Yeah, like where the fuck was she? Like, goddamn. And that's why. That's just why, like. The fucking base premise all those years ago, before her movie was even in the pipeline, before Infinity War even came out, when Kevin Feige stood up on that stage on Comic-Con and introduced her as the strongest Avenger, I knew we were in for some shit.
Well, no, I was excited for Captain Marvel until I saw the movie, and then after seeing the movie, I'm just like, do we really want the whole resolution of this 11-year story to be handled by a character who we just introduced and we don't really care about all that much. That was my
Yeah, you see, that's the thing. I saw all of that in advance. The moment he said that on stage, I knew it was coming.
We've been talking about that for too long. We got to move on.
Yeah.
Have we talked about just basically all the time travel stuff in the second half?
I believe so. I think we covered.
Volmir.
What's it? We didn't talk about Hulk talking to the Ancient One. We didn't talk about that yet.
Yeah. Right. Hulk. Well, I guess that goes back to the time travel thing. But Hulk finds the Ancient One, played by Tilda Swinton, of course, who explains to her that by taking out any of the Infinity Stones, because it's true, like the Infinity Stones play a role in nearly all the events of the MCU. So taking just one of them out will affect that reality greatly. But as explained by Professor Hulk, who's a fantastic addition, by the way. I'm glad that I feel like this is sort of the end of Hulk's character development in a way, that he's finally accepted the Hulk. And I guess he's just going to be like this professor character who just works on the sidelines with everyone else for now. But Professor Hulk explains that if you put the Infinity Stones back at the same time, what was it? If you put the Infinity Stones back at the same time they were taken, it won't affect the timeline?
Yeah.
Okay.
But like then also at the same time, it's like not even their timeline. They're trying to like prevent affecting, or just like trying not to affect alternative timelines.
And if they do, they would just cause even greater damage than Thanos did.
To those timelines, yeah.
Yeah, because I hate to say it, but before Thanos, there were plenty of end of the world scenarios in the MCU. Thanos was just the one that managed to win. Which is not a detriment to Thanos's actions. It's just like I kind of wish they waited so we got like a big end of the world thing, but whatever. Yeah, that's basically it. It doesn't even feel like we're talking about the plot of a movie that's 3 hours, are we? You don't feel the length of this film. But
like you don't feel the length of the film when you're talking about it in a retrospective, but like in that theater, I felt those 3 hours.
I honestly didn't feel those 3 hours, but I felt the pacing.
I personally didn't even times because I got there at 9. I was dead tired. I didn't even get anything to drink, man. But from the opening scene with not Hawkeye, but with the opening song. Hey, Mr. Fantasy, sing us a song. Very good song, by the way, Mr. Fantasy. I was with this movie all the way, and I don't think there was a moment where I felt bored, even with all the contrivances and issues that I had with it. I didn't feel the pacing whatsoever. But I guess we should get into the third act. So all the characters have got their respective Infinity Stones. But as we discussed earlier, 2023 Gamora was kidnapped by Thanos after he discovered her memories in 2014. Gamora. Did I just say Gamora?
Yeah, you said Gamora. It's Nebula, yeah.
I'll have to edit that out. But yeah, 2014 Nebula is kidnapped. And Thanos finds out what the fuck is going on. And so he
not 2014, the actual present day Nebula.
And then
the 2014 Nebula disguises herself as the
2014 and goes
Nebula.
Back. Yeah. And so Thanos just rolls up into the 2023, and the Avengers finally managed to reset the actions of the previous Thanos. And then, this is probably the only time the MCU has genuinely frightened me. I was actually frightened for the Avengers when Thanos just straight up fucking decimates the Avengers HQ. That was a legitimately terrifying scene.
Out of nowhere, it's almost like a jump scare.
And the aftermath where they're just drowning, Hulk, Rhodey, and
Rocket,
or all just drowning it beneath the surface. And the third act is basically just eventually transitions into one giant war, because Captain America finally, if I might add, gets to say, "Avengers Assemble," which they've been teasing for years. So I guess we're in the third act now. Thoughts on the third act? Anyone?
Well, it was just like a big fight scene, wasn't it?
Anyone else?
Yeah, I guess I have a little bit of shit to say about this one too.
Okay.
What's it? Generally, like, this is probably where the movie's core hype appeal comes into play. There's so much, like, our boy Cap gets a Mjolnir. He's proven worthy. He gets to slap Thanos around with that bitch for a little second. Our boy Thor dual wields for a minute there. Pepper Potts comes out with the rescue suits. Our boys, everyone comes back through the portals. All the Avengers we've ever met, all the people that like support them, all the wizards from like the Sanctum Sanctoriums, all the Wakandan soldiers, everybody is here. Howard the Duck too. Everyone is here.
But
Howard the Duck even is there to like whoop this man's ass. And the scene with all the female Avengers, the A-Force moment, it seemed like a little bit like, it's kind of like a producty moment. Like it's but it's most definitely got power, and it's most definitely empowering for a good portion of the audience. So I appreciate that shit. What else? Like our boy Thanos had like this crazy ass sword that he was spinning at one point like this was a fucking anime.
Was he spinning that with his hands, or was it just automatic? Was it
I don't know.
With his hands.
Oh,
yeah, like
impressive.
he was straight animated that bitch. And our boy Tony giving his life with the Infinity Stones with that switcheroo. That was neat. Honestly, tell me if I'm the only one who thought this when I was watching the movie, but when he hesitated to say "I am Iron Man," did it seem like somewhat funny? Like he was like trying to figure out something cool to say back. Like he was like struggling, but he was like, "I got them to say I am Iron Man."
Apparently, that scene wasn't originally filmed. Like he didn't actually say anything back. What is it like? What Thanos said, something like "I am inevitable."
Yeah.
And in the editing room, they had him like saying nothing or something like that. And they're like he needs to say something there. And the editor just said, "What if he just said I am Iron Man?" They're like, "That's it." And so then they had to go out and they had to film it. They had to get Robert Downey Jr. and they had to go and film saying "I am Iron Man."
Oh, and it ends up being a pretty resonant moment because those are
your last words.
Yeah, if you discount the end credit scene from the first Iron Man, those are literally the last words he says in his first movie, and in his last movie, his last technical words are "I am Iron Man," and it comes full circle that way. And I guess I want to go into just how really well directed the scene where all the heroes come back was. I personally love the fact that it references my favorite MCU movie, The Winter Soldier, where Cap's shield gets fucking decimated by Thanos. Thanos' entire army is coming down from the ship, and it seems like all hope is lost. For a second, I thought shit was dead. Shit was done for. And then we hear Falcon through Captain America's comm, which is surprisingly working, despite being being despite the fact that there's an explosion in there. But and like all the heroes just coming out of the portals, and I for one actually wanted to shout "Ibombe" with Black Panther.
Yeah, Ibombe.
Did you get any cheers in your theater? I got a pretty boring audience. To be honest.
Yeah, I got
it might have been
cheers.
because we saw it like early in the morning, you know.
And everybody was pretty.
And it could also be that theater too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got some cheers as well as one.
I legit wish if I could go back.
Slept.
I legit wish the entire theater would have shot it in Bombay. In Bombay.
In Bombay. As you do.
As you do. And I didn't even care for Black Panther that much. I just thought that moment was fucking awesome. And just to finally hear Captain America say "Avengers Assemble" in the most perfect way possible worked very well. I personally didn't have much of an opinion on the girl power moment. I didn't think it was awkward. I didn't think it was empowering. I just thought, oh, hey, that's there. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, I get that response.
I personally love the fact that Spider-Man was the first thing he does is like, hey, Mr. Stark. I kind of get sick of Tom Holland Spider-Man sometimes. Because it's always like, hey, Mr. Stark, what's going on, Mr. Stark? Pop culture reference. Hey,
Well,
Mr.
that's
Stark.
not going to happen anymore.
No, not anymore. I'm glad. That's not going to happen anymore. Like, it's the first thing he fucking does. Hey, Mr. Stark, I was dead, but now I'm back. Isn't that great? It's been 5 years.
The biggest
Well, honestly,
He doesn't say it like that.
honestly, the way he talks is like he didn't even know he was dead. He just he literally thought he just passed out for a bit. And literally after I saw Infinity War, my friend was like saying, like, after they bring Peter back, there's no way that man can go back to being happy again. He's just gonna be like staring at the wall, questioning life.
But no, we can't do that in the MCU. This is Spider-Man after all.
But because he didn't even think he died, we avoid that problem altogether.
So we can infer that there is no heaven in the MCU. It's just a cold black abyss of nothingness.
Well, no, like they just
died.
they snapped them back from the moment they were snapped out. So like it seems like there wasn't even like a skip in consciousness from when they were dusted to when they were like reformed,
and their lives are just back.
Yeah.
Man, that is fucked up. I mean, Ant-Man was at least stuck for an hour. These guys, they just had like they just blinked their eyes. It's like, what? Oh, we're gone. Fuck. Jesus Christ.
It's just that realization. Oh.
But I think the final battle scene is right up there with like the Battle of Helm's Deep or like any like all the. I think that will go down as one of the best battle scenes in cinema for me. And I think it will be well remembered for years to come. I like that moment where Spider-Man, after he's got the gauntlet and Captain Marvel finds him, and he's just like fucking shell shocked. He's like, "Hi, I'm Peter Parker." Some great moments with all these characters here.
Hi, I'm Peter Parker. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing here.
Climactic battle scene. You're just spreading it across one whole movie.
Mm-hmm. Oh, right. Battle of the Five Armies.
Yeah.
That's like a bad example.
Mm-hmm.
Where you don't care about like Peter Jackson, the Rooster Brothers managed to do what you couldn't do in like 20 minutes worth of fight scene, and which is just sad. We'll have to.
I remember seeing behind the scenes from the Battle of the Five Armies, and I don't know what's one of the producers. I don't know, but they said that they were saying that Peter Jackson had no idea how to.
Yeah, so he basically said, "All right, we're stopping here. We're going to just turn this into 2 movies." You know, and it was already supposed to be 2 movies, and it was 1 book. Now it's going to be 3 movies, and they just basically winged it, and they put as much filler in there as possible.
We will definitely discuss the Hobbit movies. We will decimate those fucking movies but that is a story for another time. So for the most part, I thought that Endgame, while clunky in a lot of places, and I don't think it was nearly as good as Infinity War, and I think that Infinity War has more of a rewatchability factor. I think
Amen, brother.
Yeah.
Infinity War. I don't know because you put Infinity War on that one time at my house and I was not into it.
Well, we had just got back from somewhere, didn't we?
I know.
We saw Mary Poppins that
movie.
day.
I know.
We saw Mary Poppins that day, didn't we?
Maybe.
Yeah. But I definitely think that in order to watch this movie, you have to be in the right mood. You know what I mean? Like, but I feel that way about like Return of the King. It's like I'm not just gonna sit down and casually watch Return of the King. That movie is long. Okay.
Well, I do.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. I guess
I even watched the extended.
Yeah, there are people who are like that. Like put on Lord of the Rings because like they're perfectly willing to watch Lord of the Rings like any time of day.
Uh-huh.
You know.
But I think me
Or
and
like the
you were
channel
different.
flipping and they land there and that's what they watch.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Okay. But for the most part, Endgame, I think it's very good. I think in terms of like ending this 11-year storyline, it is a fine ending.
Yeah, it feels like a massive conclusion.
A massive conclusion, and that being said, I can't see myself being excited for any other MCU movie now. I say that I might get excited, but after Spider-Man, I think I'm done.
Yeah, what's next?
What's next?
Captain Marvel.
You mean
Captain
you're not
Marvel
interested
2.
in the seedlings that they planted for, the next generation of Marvel characters?
We're going to have the Young Avengers. It's going to be a team thing.
I know, but you got Captain Marvel's like the new Captain America, and then you got new Captain America too.
Falcon is the new Captain America.
Yeah.
It's like, what are they going to do after this? Galactus?
Yeah.
Fuck Galactus, man.
Well, apparently a lot of people are saying that there are rumors that they're going to bring in Namor.
Oh.
Oh.
Okay.
However, I do know that there's a dispute over the rights with Namor with like Universal or something like that, similar to the disputes that they with the Hulk. So I guess like Namor can't be like a standalone, can't have its own standalone movie, which like why would he? But maybe they'll have a Namor as a villain or something.
Well, if we remember,
because I remember the Fantastic Four would like fight Namor.
If we remember, Spider-Man is still distributed and technically owned by Sony, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, which I found this pretty interesting. Apparently,
but Universal's pretty, they've been pretty they've been holding on to those rights in a very different way.
Okay.
They just seem to be saying no just to say no.
I guess that makes sense.
It's like if they can't make money off of it, no one can.
Mm-hmm.
Weirdly enough, on the recent trailer for Far From Home, I didn't see a Sony logo.
Oh. They're too ashamed to show
Columbia
themselves.
Pictures? I'm pretty sure there was a Columbia Pictures logo or something.
Okay, there we go. But I found this out recently. Apparently, Marvel didn't want Far From Home to be released so soon after Endgame because, of course, it spoils the ending, which I guess we could have inferred by ourselves. But
when is it coming
out?
July 2nd.
Yeah, it's right around the corner.
It's quite interesting. Like right now, you can see like both Captain Marvel and Endgame back to back in theaters.
It feels like that's just what it's going to be from now on, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Like the middle movie.
Like before there was a time when like you'd be lucky to get like one superhero movie a year. Now you get like however many in a year, and now you can have however many in 1 month.
Oh man.
Which
it's crazy to think about.
It already has 16 million views.
But I honestly don't see where I can go from here. I think.
Well, it's going to get smaller.
Yeah.
I remember somebody compared it to like the James Bond films, like Moonraker. James Bond goes to space, and then like the next movie, I think it's like For Your Eyes Only or something like that. It gets a lot smaller. They downsize it.
I don't see that.
And Spider-Man's a good example of that because there's a lot more character-driven and whatnot.
Oh, Les, what is there something coming up from your mic?
What's that tapping?
Oh wait, hold up. Let me see what's wrong here.
All right.
I don't know.
What about you, Les? Do you think you'll be excited for any other Marvel movie after this?
Oh, bruh, I've been just hypothesizing about what the fuck they could do from here on. I have so many ideas. Like Galactus
is the easy answer for the next phase villain. If they even have a next phase villain, I'm thinking it's either going to be Doctor Doom or it's going to be Kang the Conqueror.
Well,
because think about it, Kang the Conqueror makes sense thematically just because
they have time.
He's got the time travel shit. So he's gonna be all like, the Avengers have the ability to time travel. They are now obviously a threat to me and my despotic rule in the fucking 400,000s. Or Doctor Doom would do a battle world, and we'll have the X-Men finally. Yes. See? So I'm honestly the hypest on this hype shit.
I am patiently waiting for that Noah Hawley Doctor Doom movie because I really like Noah Hawley as a writer. I love Fargo. I like Legion, but I have not kept up with the second season. But honestly, yeah, I think... I'm not saying that I won't watch these movies anymore, but I think I'll just be a casual fan now. Which I think I was in the first place, but I think I just really liked Infinity War and I wanted to see where this was going.
For sure. Mm-hmm. Now, my mans, I got 1% left on my phone.
All right,
I bid y'all adieu.
Definitely end here. So thank you for joining us, everyone. I'm Daniel Plainview of Metropolis Pictures, and go see Endgame. It's the biggest movie of the year, and if I'm not mistaken, it's already crossed the $200 billion mark.
It's the second most grossing movie worldwide.
And it's beaten Titanic, and if we're lucky, it'll beat James Cameron and wipe that fucking smug off his face, that pretentious prick. I'm Daniel Plainview. Have a nice day.